What if the smartest financial decision you ever made is about to be quietly destroyed? You refused the system. You did not sign an $80,000 loan for a 2026 rolling computer. You walked away. You said no to monthly payments. No to software-controlled ownership. No to being locked into a machine you do not truly control. Instead, you did something different. Something most people are too afraid to do. You bought a clean analog 20-year-old truck. You paid cash. No bank. No interest. No tracking. No subscription. You held the title in your hand. And for a moment, you felt something rare. Freedom. Real ownership. No permissions required. No updates needed. No corporate control sitting between you and your machine. You thought you beat the system. But here is what no one is telling you. The system noticed. Automakers are not blind. Dealerships are not asleep. Corporate analysts are watching everything. They are watching the used truck market explode. They are watching prices rise on vehicles that were supposed to disappear. They are watching demand shift away from new vehicles. And most importantly, they are watching people like you walk away. They see the pattern. They see the behavior. They see the escape. And they do not like it. Because every person who buys an old truck with cash is one less person trapped in a 7-year loan, one less guaranteed stream of income, one less customer locked into their ecosystem. So now they are responding. Not with ads. Not with announcements. Not with public statements. But with strategy. Silent. Precise. Effective. This is what insiders call the zero stock trap. And it is already happening. This is not a movie plot. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is how modern corporations operate. Cold. Calculated. Profit-driven. Modern automakers do not build vehicles to last forever. They build systems designed around continuous revenue. They operate on just-in-time logistics. That means no extra inventory. No long-term storage. No commitment to the past. Every part. Every component. Now that you understand the reality of the engine control module, we move to the next layer. The parts that seem small. The parts most people ignore. The parts that fail quietly, but have the power to completely change how your truck behaves. Number 2, throttle position and idle air control sensors. For decades, driving was simple. You pressed the pedal. A steel cable moved. A throttle plate opened. Air flowed into the engine. Fuel followed. Power was created. It was direct. Mechanical. Predictable. There was no interpretation. No delay. No software deciding what you meant. Your foot controlled the engine. Exactly. Now compare that to what replaced it. Modern systems removed that direct connection. Your pedal is no longer mechanical. It is a sensor. A plastic device that reads position, sends a signal to a computer, and waits for a response. The computer processes that input, checks multiple parameters, then commands an electric motor. And that motor opens the throttle. Everything in between is dependency. Sensors, wiring, software, communication. And if any part of that chain fails, the system protects itself. Not you. The truck enters limp mode. Power is reduced. Response disappears. And in some cases, you are left trying to control a vehicle that no longer responds the way you expect. Now here is the important distinction. Your older analog truck still uses a cable-driven throttle. That means the main mechanism is strong. A solid aluminum throttle body. A steel linkage. A system that rarely fails physically. But attached to that system are small electronic components. Critical ones. Throttle position sensor. Idle air control valve. These parts translate physical movement into usable data. They stabilize idle. They help the engine respond correctly. And when they are working, you never think about them. But when they fail, everything changes. The engine begins to surge. Idle becomes unstable. RPM rises and falls unpredictably. Stalling becomes common. Drivability disappears. And here is the dangerous part. Failure does not always. Now we move into a system most people take for granted. Something you use every single day. Something you do not think about. Until the moment it stops working. And when it stops working, it does not just create discomfort. It creates risk. Number 4. Analog climate control modules. Step inside any modern truck today. What do you see? A massive screen. Smooth glass. Hidden controls. Everything integrated into software. At first it feels advanced. Minimal. Clean. But look closer. Physical buttons are gone. Mechanical feedback is gone. Direct control is gone. Everything is routed through a digital interface. That means one thing. If the screen fails, you lose access. Not partially. Completely. No airflow control. No temperature adjustment. No defroster. Now imagine that in real conditions. Cold morning. Fogged windshield. Heavy rain. You reach to clear your glass. And nothing responds. Because a screen froze. Because software glitched. Because a digital layer failed. That is not just inconvenient. That is dangerous. Now compare that to your analog truck. Everything is physical. You turn a knob. A cable moves. A door inside the system shifts. Air redirects. Temperature changes. Flow adjusts. You feel it happen. Instant. Direct. Reliable. These systems were built differently. They were designed to work under stress. To last through years of use. To function without needing updates or resets. Inside your dashboard are components most people never see. Blend door cables. Vacuum actuators. Rotary switches. Mechanical linkages. Each one simple. Each one durable. Each one replaceable. But here is what is changing. The companies that produce these components have moved on. Their factories no longer focus on analog systems. Production lines have shifted. Resources have been redirected. They are building touchscreens now. Digital panels. Electronic interfaces. Because that is where the industry went. Which means support for older systems is fading. Slowly. Quietly. But consistently. At first. Parts become harder to find. Then prices increase. Then available. Now everything connects. You have seen the pattern. You understand the shift. You know which parts are disappearing. But this final part is where it becomes real. Because knowledge alone does not keep your truck alive. Action does. The auto industry is not rushing. They are not making sudden moves. They are doing this slowly. Quietly. Strategically. Because a slow change is harder to notice. Harder to resist. And easier to accept. One part disappears. Then another. Then another. At first it feels random. Then it becomes a pattern. And by the time most people realize what is happening, they are already trapped inside it. Searching. Waiting. Compromising. But you are not most people. Because now you see it clearly. This is not about parts. This is about control through supply. The industry cannot legally force you to give up your truck. They cannot come and take it. They cannot stop you from driving it. But they can limit your ability to maintain it. And that is where pressure begins. Because a machine you cannot maintain is a machine you cannot trust. And a machine you cannot trust is one you eventually replace. That is the end goal. Not destruction. Replacement. They want you back inside the system. Back into financing. Back into subscriptions. Back into controlled ownership. Where every repair, every update, every function runs through them. But here is the reality they do not want you to realize. You still have time. Right now parts still exist. Inventory still remains. Old stock is still out there. But it will not stay that way forever. Because once something becomes scarce, it follows a predictable path. First, availability drops. Then prices rise. Then quality disappears. Then access ends. At that point, it is no longer about money. It is about luck. Finding a part becomes chance, not certainty. And that is not a position you want to be in. So the strategy is simple. You move before the shortage becomes obvious. You secure what matters before it becomes expensive. You prepare while options still exist. Because preparation change.